Hello guys and welcome back to the channel, thanks for tuning in. So today I'm going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII and my experience with the game and how it really changed my life. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Please do like, share and subscribe. Welcome to part 1 of my truest feelings on Final Fantasy VII. This isn't just a review, it's a journey into the game that shaped me, the characters that stayed with me, and the emotions that made it unforgettable. Let's dive into the adventure that changed everything. Before we dive into this journey, I want to give a huge thank you to these amazing people for making this video possible. Third Rated Gamer for the incredible footage, be sure to check out his channel, link in the description. Sing for the Laughter for the awesome music that sets the tone, check out his work, links in the description. Nishquik Pops for providing the amazing UI that I used throughout this video. Again, thank you so much guys, hopefully we can work together in the future as well. Let me take you back to 1997. I was just a 13-year-old kid, wide-eyed and ready to dive into the world of gaming. My older brother had been hyping up this game called Final Fantasy VII for weeks. It's like nothing you've ever played before, he said, and he was absolutely right. He always had a knack for knowing what would blow my mind. When my brother finally brought the game home, I remember sitting there, staring at the box art, the logo, that iconic meteor. It felt like holding a portal to another world in my hands. The anticipation was electric, and as soon as I popped the disc into the PlayStation, I was hooked. In those first few hours, I didn't just play Final Fantasy VII. I lived it, the atmosphere, the music, the sense of stepping into a whole new world. It was like nothing else. It was more than a game. It was a gateway to a universe I never wanted to leave. And it all started with the moment in 1997, thanks to my brother's excitement and love for gaming. I was really drawn in by the music and atmosphere. It really set the tone for everything. Cloud's journey of self-discovery felt like my own doubts and struggles. Tifa's quiet strength made me feel understood, while Aerith's optimism reminded me to hold on to hope. Barrett's fiery passion inspired me to fight for what I believe in, and Red 13's wisdom made me reflect on the bigger picture. Cid's unyielding dream pushed me to never stop reaching for more, and Yuffie's persistence in the face of challenges echoed my own resilience. Vincent's tragic past resonated deeply, while Cid's loyalty taught me to find meaning in the most unexpected of places. Hojo's madness made me angry, and Rufus embodied the power I wanted to challenge. But it was Zack's selflessness, his sacrifice, that left a lasting mark on me, reminding me that every victory comes with a cost. At 13, I really connected with Cloud. His struggle to understand who he was felt like my own confusion growing up. I was drawn into his journey of self-doubt and discovering the truth about himself. Just like I was trying to figure out who I was, Tifa's support reminded me how much I needed someone who truly understood me, while Aerith's hopefulness felt like a light I needed in my own dark moments. Cloud's pain, his anger and his moments of growth spoke to me deeply, making me realize that facing your past is the only way to move forward. Cloud's journey really hit home for me. At first he seemed so confident, like he had it all together, but deep down he was struggling with his identity just like I was at 13. His confusion about who he really was, his painful memories and his feelings of inadequacy made me feel less alone. Watching Cloud face his past, let go of the lies he'd built around himself and ultimately embrace who he truly was powerful. It showed me that even when you're lost or unsure, you can still find your way, and that it's okay to ask for help along the way. When Cloud met Aerith, something changed for him, and for me too. She was this pure bright light in the darkness of his and my confusion. Aerith's kindness and optimism felt so real, like she had a way of making everything better, even when everything was falling apart. Cloud's guarded heart slowly softened around her, and I could relate. At 13. I was starting to open up more to people, just like Cloud was. Aerith showed him and me that it's okay to trust, to let someone in, even when you're afraid of getting hurt. When Cloud met Barrett at the Avalanche hideout, I could feel the tension. Barrett was intense, full of anger and passion, but there was something about his fight for the planet that made Cloud and me respect him. At 13, I didn't fully understand the weight of Barrett's pain, but I felt his determination. Barrett's harshness towards Cloud at first showed me how trust isn't earned easily, but when Cloud finally saw the bigger picture and started to fight alongside him, it was like a turning point. It had reminded me that sometimes we all need to find a cause to believe in, even when it feels hard to trust others. Cloud and Tifa's bond felt so familiar to me. Their shared past, the unspoken understanding between them. It reminded me of my own crush on a girl who was older than me. Like Cloud, I felt a mix of nervousness and excitement, unsure of how to express my feelings, but just like Tifa, she seemed to see through me, making me feel seen and understood. The way Tifa quietly supported Cloud, even when he didn't realize he needed it, was like how I felt around her, safe. Even if I didn't know how to say what I was feeling, their relationship showed me that sometimes love doesn't need grand gestures, but the quiet, steady presence of someone who truly cares. Watching Cloud step up as a leader, I couldn't help but relate to that feeling of responsibility. Leading a group like I did with my 5 close friends meant guiding everyone through tough moments, even when I didn't have all the answers like Cloud. I had to make decisions that affected everyone, and sometimes it felt overwhelming. But there was something powerful about seeing the group come together. Each person brought something important, just like Tifa, Barrett and the others did for Cloud. It reminded me that being a leader isn't about always being perfect. It's about pushing forward, supporting those around you, and growing together. Now that the introductions are done, let's get deeper into the story of Final Fantasy VII. Buckle up, because this journey is as emotional as it is epic. The opening sequence, absolute perfection. You're thrown straight into the action, no fluff, no filler, just the train pulling up into Midgar, Cloud leaping off, and Avalanche kicking down Shinra's doors. It's absolutely electric. Midgar itself is practically a character. The city feels alive, the towering reactors, the smog, the slums under the plate. You can feel the weight of Shinra's greed crushing the people below. It sets the stage perfectly for Cloud's journey. And then there's Cloud. At first, he's just a mercenary for hire, but as the story unfolds, we see the cracks in his tough guy persona. The deeper you go, the more you realize he's running from a past that even he doesn't fully understand. Cloud. The guy starts off as this aloof mercenary, working for money and not much else, but you can tell there's something more to him right from the start. Something feels off, even in how he talks about being a soldier. Cloud doesn't act like a hero here. He's cold, distant and honestly kind of a jerk. Barrett's throwing passionate speeches and Cloud's just like, I'm here for the paycheck. But that's what makes his arc so good. You see the layers start to peel back. The bombing mission is where you start seeing hints of the real Cloud. He's not as heartless as he pretends to be. When the reactor explodes, there's this flicker of guilt and hesitation. It's subtle, but it's there. And then, after the mission, it happens. Cloud falls into the slums and meets Aerith. That moment is unforgettable. She's selling flowers in a dirty, broken city, but she's this bright, hopeful presence, the complete opposite of Cloud. That first conversation, pure magic. Cloud's still in tough mercenary mode, but Aerith sees straight through it. She's not afraid of him, and her warmth starts to break through his icy exterior. It's like the game's telling you, this is where his real journey begins. Cloud tries to play it cool when she asks him to be her bodyguard, but you can tell he's already intrigued by her. There's a chemistry that feels natural, even though they're complete opposites. Aerith, for me, became something more than just a character. She was this light in a dark world. There was a vulnerability about her, but also a strength. The way she carried herself in the face of Shinra's corruption, despite the pain she must have felt, it was inspiring. Their escape from the Turks is one of my favourite moments. Aerith's playful teasing and quick thinking start to pull Cloud out of his stoic shell. You can see her pushing him to care about more than just himself. Meanwhile, Shinra looms over everything. The corporation isn't just a villain, it's a force of nature, a symbol of greed and exploitation. The Turks, led by Reno and Rude, add a personal touch to the menace. They're not evil, they're just doing their jobs, which makes them even more interesting. And then there's Tifa, Cloud's childhood friend and anchor to the past. When they reconnect at 7th Heaven, it's clear she knows something's not right with him. She's gentle, but you can feel her concern beneath the surface. But Tifa isn't just a caring friend, she's a fighter. She's been carrying the weight of Nibelheim's tragedy for years, but she's always putting others before herself. Watching her quietly hold everything together, even as she struggles with her own pain, really hit me. I think everyone has someone in their life who's like that, strong on the outside but hurting on the inside. Cloud's relationships with Tifa and Aerith are like two sides of the same coin. Tifa is his connection to who he was, while Aerith represents the person who he could become. It's no wonder both are so central to his journey. From there, it's not just Cloud's story anymore. It's about how the people he meets start to shape him. Aerith especially plants the seeds of change. She shows him that there's more to life than just surviving. Final Fantasy VII was and is and always will be more than just a game to me. It taught me so many things about me. Anyway, let's continue. But what really pulled me in was the struggle of Avalanche. They weren't perfect heroes, they were flawed, desperate and willing to take risks that felt all too human. It made their fight for the planet hit even harder. The moment Shinra destroys Sector 7, heartbreaking. It's not just a turning point in the story, it's the moment Cloud realizes how high the stakes really are. For Tifa it's devastating, and for Aerith it's a call to action. It's the first time you truly feel like this is more than just a fight, it's a war. Before that though, let's pause for a second. Biggs, Jesse and Wedge, these guys, they might not get enough credit, but they were a huge part of Avalanche's heart. They were loyal, brave, and each had their own little quirks that made them stand out. Let's not forget Barrett. Barrett, oh man, at first he's this loud, brash guy, but as you get to know him, you see the fire burning inside. He's all about protecting his people, especially Marlene. His rage towards Shinra and the loss he's endured. It made me understand how far someone would go to protect the ones they love. Jess's bright energy, Biggs' calm leadership, and Wedge's heart, they were so much more than just side characters. They made a real impact on me, and losing them wasn't just a plot twist, it felt personal. I realised that their fight was so much bigger than just the mission. It was about family, about fighting for the people you care about, and that's what made their deaths hit so hard. But after the explosion in Sector 7, things go south fast. The team's feeling the pressure, and you can tell they all know what's at stake. When they have to say goodbye to Biggs, Jesse and Wedge, it's a gut punch. These were the friends who had your back from the very start. I felt so much sorrow for Barrett and Tifa too. These were the people they trusted, and now they were gone. There was no time to mourn though, the battle kept moving forward, but the weight of that loss lingered in the air. It was the first real punch to the gut that told me this story wasn't pulling punches. From here, the mission changes. This wasn't just a funny side quest anymore. It was the beginning of a much larger battle. And it's where I realised that even in a world this messed up, there were people who cared enough to push through the darkness for a better tomorrow. It was the first time a game brought a tear to my eye. By the way guys, if you have not subscribed, please do that now. Also leave a like, comment and share. Thanks. I appreciate you. Love. At this point, I was so hooked into Final Fantasy VII, and it wasn't just the battles or the world building, it was them. Cloud, Aerith, Tifa and Barrett. Their connections to each other felt so real, and I could see pieces of myself in all of them. So yeah, while I'll always remember the twists and turns of the story, I'll also remember how I felt when I was playing sitting there in my room. The world of Final Fantasy VII unfolding on that small screen. That little CRT didn't need to be huge or fancy. It was perfect for what I needed at the time. An immersive, unforgettable gaming experience. I'll never forget how I just got lost in the world of Final Fantasy VII. The game was so immersive that the screen size, the resolution, none of that mattered. I had my pizza, I had my snacks, and I was completely engrossed in Cloud's journey. That little Sony CRT wasn't just a TV. It was a portal to an adventure I didn't want to end. And that's what makes Final Fantasy VII so special. It's not just the game itself, it's how it connects with you on a personal level. And for me, playing it on that 14-inch Sony CRT with pizza and snacks by my side, it's a memory I'll always carry with me. Again, thank you big bro. Okay, so after everything that happened in Midgar, Biggs, Jesse, Wedge, it felt like the weight of the world was on Cloud and the gang's shoulders. But then, we arrive in War Market, and man, what a shift. Suddenly, there's a sense of life and colour that I hadn't seen or felt since the opening of the game. The bustling streets, the flashing lights, it was alive. War Market felt like a weird break from the intensity of everything before it. The area is this chaotic, vibrant mess, but in a good way. There's an energy in the air, full of people, food, and everything you could possibly imagine. For the first time in a while, I felt like the group could breathe, even if it was just for a moment. Okay, so when we first step into War Market, it's not just the chaos of it all that hits me. It's the feeling, the vibe. It instantly reminded me of this place my parents would take me when I was a younger boy, Sheaf Market Square and Castle Market Square. Both places with this perfect blend of energy, noise and life, just like War Market. Music playing in the background, the stalls overflowing with everything you could imagine. It was like a snapshot of real life. A place where you could find fresh fruit, fish, meats, clothes and even knockoff branded goods. The hum of the crowds, the shouting of vendors trying to make their sales, it took me back to those market days where you could feel the pulse of a city in every corner. Wall Market was alive in a way that felt familiar but still surreal. The neon lights, the noise, the strange unexpected moments. It felt like Sheaf Market or Castle Market, but through a lens of fantasy. There was something about the hustle and bustle, the mixture of everything happening at once, that felt real. I remember how the smells and sounds would mix in those real life markets, fresh produce, sizzling street food, the constant chatter of people in Wall Market. It was the same thing. The music was upbeat, almost infectious, and it was like the whole place was alive with possibility. It felt like a place where anything could happen, just like the markets I grew up with. That's why Wall Market stands out to me so much. It was more than just a quirky side mission or a vibrant town. It was a slice of life that reminded me of the markets I once roamed with my parents, filled with colour, noise, and moments that made you feel like you were part of something bigger. It gave me a feeling of connection, one I'll always remember. Every time I explored Wall Market, I was reminded of the kind of places where my parents would take me. Those memories of bustling streets and people moving in every direction came rushing back. Wall Market wasn't just a location, it was a feeling, and that feeling reminded me of simpler times, of crowded places full of life where it felt like you could lose yourself and find something new with every step. I want to take this moment to thank my mother and my father for the great memories, the love and the fantastic upbringing. I love you, Mum and Dad, and also my siblings too. Alright, so I'm just going to apologise up front. Wall Market is chaotic, and the Don Corneo scene, well, let's just say it gets even crazier. It's the kind of moment in Final Fantasy VII where the story takes a wild turn and the tone flips again. Things go from vibrant to downright bizarre, and honestly, I really wasn't prepared for it. So Cloud and team are trying to infiltrate Don Corneo's mansion, and the whole idea is kind of insane, right? They're working to get close to him to figure out what Shinra's up to, but the method, ridiculous. Cloud, Tifa and Aerith dressed up and going undercover, what a sight. Alright, so let's talk about what really happens when Cloud has to dress up in Wall Market. If you want to get the best dress, you've got to put in some serious effort, and by effort, I mean, well, doing some of the weirdest side quests I've ever experienced in a game. But the funny thing is, despite how odd the whole process is, it becomes this mini adventure. You're running errands, getting favours, battling it out in the gym, and trying to impress everyone in town, all for a single dress. At first, it's kind of absurd, but then you realise Cloud is literally going to these extremes to get close to Corneo and save his friends. So while I'll always remember laughing at Cloud's awkward dress-up moment, the real depth of the Corneo story was in the way it revealed who these characters were becoming. People willing to step up, fight back, and do what was necessary, no matter how dangerous it might be. Alright, so we're deep in the heart of Wall Market now, and things are getting crazy. But I gotta say, this part of the game will always stick with me for another reason. You see, this is when I really started to lose myself in Final Fantasy VII. I remember that I just bought myself some pizza and snacks to my little setup, sitting there on my 14-inch Sony CRT TV that my big brother had bought for me. It wasn't much, but that TV felt like a whole world at the time. The thing is, Cloud doesn't just need to impress Don Corneo with the dress. He also needs to make a big impression on everyone in Wall Market. You've got to interact with all the right people to make sure Cloud's beauty gets noticed. This part of the story is so ridiculous, but it also shows just how far Cloud is willing to go. He doesn't want to dress up like this. He's doing it for the mission. but it takes a certain sacrifice. And here's where it gets even more hilarious. Getting the best dress also involves talking to people in World Market, finding out what they like and doing their little errands. There's one character who's obsessed with Cloud's hair, and I'm just sitting there thinking, this is so out of left field. It's funny, but in a way it's also about paying attention to detail and working for what you want. First up, Cloud needs to gather materials for the dress, and not just any dress, but the best one, because why settle for anything less, right? This means Cloud has to go around World Market meeting all sorts of odd characters who will ask for something in return. To start, Cloud has to visit the item shop for the silk scarf, which sounds simple enough, right? Except the shopkeeper wants Cloud to buy it, but also, there's a favour involved. Yeah, it's one of those weird exchanges where you know something's not quite right, but it's part of the game. By the time Cloud finally steps into that dress, I'm not laughing anymore. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but there's something about the way the whole process ties into his character arc. Cloud's pride takes a beating here, but he's doing it for the greater good, and in a way, that makes this entire scene one of the more emotional ones in the game, because it shows just how far Cloud is willing to go for the team. And don't get me wrong, this whole dress situation is hilarious, but in a weird way, it's also deeply human. Cloud didn't have to do this, but he did. It's just one of the many moments in Final Fantasy VII that blends humour, absurdity and heartfelt moments into one unforgettable experience. This moment also gives us a better look at Cloud's true nature. He's still got a lot of walls up, but the way he reacts to Aerith being picked shows how much he cares. Even if you won't admit it, there's no hesitation. Cloud's ready to do whatever it takes to protect her. The team is starting to come together, not just as allies, but as something much more stronger. So when Cloud finally walks out wearing the best dress with a full get-up complete with makeup and a wig, I can't help but respect the commitment. The absurdity of it all is part of the charm, but deep down, this ridiculous moment is just one more step in Cloud's journey to becoming someone who will sacrifice anything for the people he cares about. So after Cloud gets that perfect dress, it's finally time to face the man himself, Don Corneo. And let me tell you, even though Cloud and the team did everything they could to blend in, there was something about Corneo's mansion that felt off. I mean, it should have, right? The guy is a creepy, power-hungry crime boss who runs the underground of Midgar. Cloud, still in his ridiculous disguise, manages to keep it together for now, but I can feel the discomfort building. Tifa and Aerith, even though they're playing along, have this look on their faces. Their disgust is palpable. It's one thing to be in disguise, but when you're dealing with someone this vile, that's when the stakes feel real. And then, Corneo picks his favourite, and that's when things get even more twisted. The tension in the room was suffocating. There's a sense of helplessness in the air as Corneo treats the team like prizes to be won. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about winning his favour, it was about getting to the truth behind the madness that's plaguing Midgar. Once Cloud, Tifa and Aerith are inside, I can't help but feel the tension. The music shifts and everything in Corneo's mansion feels slimy. The whole vibe is dark, with gold and gaudy decor that tries to hide the ugly truth beneath. The mansion itself is all about excess and corruption, a perfect reflection of the man who lives there. But here's where the real turning point happens. When Corneo makes his choice and locks eyes on Aerith, I could feel it. It was like he saw her as some kind of prize to be taken. He's got this twisted sense of ownership over women, and the whole thing left me sick to my stomach. But it wasn't just about him. This was about what his power represents: control and manipulation. And here's the emotional part for me. As funny and light-hearted as some of the moments are, when the team confronts Corneo, it's clear that they're not just fighting to stop a criminal. They're fighting for their own futures, and that's what ties it all together for me. This isn't just about saving the planet, it's about saving each other too. But it doesn't end there. When the team is finally separated and forced into a situation where things get even more dangerous, you can feel the stakes rise. It's no longer about Corneo's antics, it's about survival, finding the truth, and most importantly, fighting back against a system that's been designed to oppress everyone beneath Shinra's heel. I won't spoil everything that happens next, but let's just say the whole Don Corneo thing is more than just a side story. It's a reminder of how deep the corruption in Midgar runs. It's a place where people are discarded and used for power, and characters like Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith can't afford to ignore that darkness. It's a world where hope is hard to come by, but they're willing to fight for it, no matter the cost. Alright guys, I'm jumping ahead a bit here. I know we're still in Midgar, but I have to talk about when the team finally exits the city and steps onto the world map. It's a moment that hit me like a ton of bricks. It's not just about leaving Midgar, it's about what's out there.